If you're anything like me, you've probably spent hours and hours trying to eliminate all those little micro stutters, all those little bugs on iRacing. I have literally spent hours, days, maybe even weeks, maybe even months trying to get iRacing to run as smooth as I want it to run. Now, normally, to some people, these little bugs, these little micro stutters that happen like one little stutter every couple of minutes won't matter, but if you're like me, pedantic, they're going to matter, and this is where this video comes in. So I suggest stick around. I recommend you open up a test drive so you've got unlimited amount of time, and then just press on the tab that says settings. Go to the display tab and check that the resolution is the exact same as your monitors. Then go to the graphic settings and scroll down till you see Nvidia Reflex and disable it. And I recommend setting your max pre-rendered frames at just 1. What this does is queues up a frame for after every frame you see, one is ready. So after each frame you see, one is loaded up instantly and it keeps it smooth. Now in theory you can make your gameplay even smoother by adding more queued frames, however that will add to your latency, probably an extra 10 to 20 milliseconds per frame that's queued. For AMD users, I would assume that that option is disabled by default, and I would still keep the option of the max pre-rendered frames as 1. Now for the frame rate options, it does get a little bit technical, and this is what you need to understand. Everything iRacing, including physics, runs at a clock speed of around 360 Hz, meaning for the most satisfying smooth gameplay, you would have a 1-to-1 ratio of 360 frames per second. But with iRacing being very CPU bound, 360 frames per second is a little bit unrealistic for probably 95% of people. This also applies with your monitor hertz refresh rate and your frames that you desire. So if iRacing runs at approximately 360 Hz per second and you have a monitor that runs 180 Hz refresh rate, then that divides into the clock speed of iRacing by 2, which is ideal. And because iRacing is still running on DX11, which is a little bit old-fashioned, it's still very CPU bound, meaning that asking for 180 frames per second can be quite demanding, especially in built-up scenes, or especially if you're like me and you want to stream or listen to Spotify, Discord, blah blah blah. Plus with larger grids, then it can get very CPU bound, and I run a Ryzen 9 which are quite hefty cards, and that can still struggle at 180 frames per second in larger grids. So to combat this, I set my frame rate at a 3:2 ratio with my monitor, which is 180 Hz, which is set at a 2:1 ratio with 360 Hz, which iRacing runs at. Long story short, so I'm not babbling on, they're all divisible into one another. My frame rate at 120 goes into 360 of iRacing's clock speed 3 times. It's a 3:2 ratio with my monitor. My monitor is set a 2:1 ratio with iRacing's 360. They all divide into one another, and happy days. So putting it into simple terms that even I understand, we're keeping the relationship between the GPU and the CPU pretty simple, because now there's not trying to calculate thousands of mathematical equations, trying to get something like a 165.4 ratio into 360 or 180 and blah blah blah. Now if you've got this far in the video, well done, you've probably solved 99% of your micro stutters. And remember the Nvidia Reflex option that we switched off. We are now probably going to get a little bit of latency, so let's go fix that now. Now we're going to go to the Nvidia GeForce app, and hopefully on the graphics tab you'll see a list of games that should be installed on your PC. Now that little box of games that should be found on your PC, if iRacing is not there, you'll have to press on the 3 dots to the top right in that little box and enter that path that I have pasted onto the screen. I will put it in the description also, so you can copy and paste it yourself. If you're on Apple, Mac or whatever and it's different, then you're on your own. I'm sorry, you're going to have to find your own way to find it. I have no idea. Now the latency issue that we mentioned on the previous screen, you'll see an option called low latency mode. Make sure that is switched on. When you have Nvidia Reflex enabled in the iRacing settings menu, it does not allow you to set the pre-rendered frames. So by doing it this way, we still get the same benefit of having Nvidia Reflex turned on in the iRacing settings, and we also get the benefit of having a frame rendered in queue. Now I set the window so you can actually see all my settings with the legacy box open, so feel free to copy them all. They seem to work for me, so hopefully they'll work for you. By the way, before I draw this video to an end, if you are playing on an AMD graphics card, you will actually be looking for Radeon Anti-Lag or in the newer versions it might be called Anti-Lag 2. Now this is one of the first main attempts of making a video as opposed to a short on iRacing. The reason why I went to shorts on iRacing is because it's just easier to reach a wider audience, meaning that if I can build some sort of a community, making videos will be a little bit more worth it because they're more likely to be actually seen. Now I don't want my future videos to be just bug fixes and such. I actually want to delve in the heart of iRacing, car setups, track tactics, etc. and streaming, I guess, of me racing. I know this isn't a video that you're potentially going to enjoy, but hopefully it would help you fix your potential micro stutter issues more than anything. If you are interested in anything that I've just said, I would really appreciate any support, a like on the channel, or even better, a sub. It will speed up the process of being able to transition over to videos which can hold a lot more information than just a little short. And again, if you've got this far, thank you ever so much. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one.